So as mentioned before, thank you very much for being here for joining us in this webinar organized by Airport Regions Council. I'm Sergio Alegre, Director General. As you have seen in the information we have disseminated of this webinar, I have the pleasure and the honor to be the Director General for the last 7 years. And I will take a couple of minutes to comment and to inform you who we are and what we do. Airport Regions Council, it's an organization based in Brussels. Now we are in our office. This is what you have in my back, what you can see in my bike in Brussels in Rue Montoyer 21. We are the organizations of the cities, regions, and in general territorial governments, public governments, that they host an airport in their territory or very nearby, so they are directly affected from the positive aspects of to have an airport and the negative aspects, mainly most important, the positive aspects. We were created 31 years ago, and our main task is to lobby here in Brussels, like everyone in this European bubble, and for sure to support our members in their goals. In order to achieve these two main goals, we develop conference and webinars as the one we have today the pleasure, and we participate as well in EU-funded projects as members of the advisory board or as full members of the project. Today we have us going directly to the point that you have joined us. It's a pleasure for me because we have met a couple of times, still only virtually, like you are going to meet him today, but I hope one day we will meet in Toulouse, of course, or here in Brussels, to Patrick Santon. Patrick Santon is at the present moment the senior consultant within Airbus Consulting Services, and his focus to support airports in achieving their ambitions. He has been in Airbus, working in Airbus for the last 20 years, so really a senior person, even if he looks quite young. And I guess he jumped directly from Cranfield University, where he finished his Master of Science in Aerospace Vehicle Design. So it's really a pleasure. The objective, if I may abstract even before he start of this webinar, is to know part of the services that Airbus is developing for airports, and some of these services can have a really positive impact, of course, on the airports, but of course to the regions and the cities nearby. That is the reason that after a while what we met and we exchanged and we explored different possibilities, we agree totally that to have this webinar, an open webinar, not only for ASC members, could be a very good way to start this relationship between Airbus and Airport Regions Council that for sure will not be finished today. Just the opposite. This will be the first stone of a long path. Patrick, the floor is yours. Just before, sorry, after his speech, that more or less will be 20-25 minutes. We will have, of course, 20 minutes for questions and answer. After that, for sure, we will join with all of you the mails, the addresses, so you could contact all of you between you all and with Patrick directly in order to have more clarifications, requests, or demands. Now, Patrick, sorry, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Sergi, for the introduction. Good afternoon, good morning, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for joining our Fresh Eyes on Airport Traffic Growth webinar. As Sergi mentioned, my name is Patrick Santone, and I'm a business and strategy consultant with Airbus Consulting. My goal today is to offer you a unique perspective, that of an aircraft manufacturer. We all know global traffic is on a steady rise. For every airport, this presents an opportunity, but also a challenge. How do airports not only capture their share of that growth, but also pioneer new sustainable ways to expand? Today, we're going to explore some of the levers airports can pull to drive that growth, specifically levers they may be overlooking. I know we have a diverse audience today with people from airports and other related areas. This webinar is designed for anyone involved in the development of an airport, because the principles we'll discuss can be scaled and adapted to any environment. Before we dive into those levers, let me give you a brief overview of what we do at Airbus Consulting. Our team is based at the Airbus headquarters in Toulouse, France. We work across the aviation ecosystem. For airlines, we help launch new startups, plan continuous growth for existing carriers, and guide their transition to a more sustainable future. For the skies, our experts design and optimize airspace, a crucial piece of the efficiency puzzle that directly impacts airport operations. And most importantly, for our discussion today, we partner directly with airports. We bring strategic, technical, and operational value to help them solve their most pressing challenges and build a roadmap for growth. Our goal is to help airports achieve higher market shares, increase profitability, and high customer satisfaction. The recommendations Airbus Consulting provides to its airport customers is what we will focus on today. So, with that context on who we are, let's zoom out and look at the landscape of our industry. The selected figures I will now share help paint a picture of the incredible momentum and evolution happening right now, which is the foundation for the growth opportunities we'll be discussing. Let's start with the aircraft themselves. In Europe alone, we anticipate over 8,000 new passenger aircraft deliveries in the next 2 decades. This is mostly fleet expansions and a minor share of fleet renewal. But it's not just about more planes, it's about more capable planes. We're seeing a clear industry trend towards maximizing efficiency with higher capacity aircraft like the A321neo, A330neo, and A350-1000, which push passenger counts up to 480 seats. Even more transformative is the emergence of new generation aircraft like the A321XLR. With a flight time of up to 10 hours, it's a single-aisle aircraft that can fly long-haul routes, effectively opening up new direct connections for a whole range of airports that were previously not considered for intercontinental flights. Now, let's look at the market these aircraft are serving. The global network is vast, connecting over 21,000 unique city pairs in 2023. Passenger traffic was up 10% between 2023 and 2024. Europe is a huge part of this story, with over 1 billion passengers carried last year, accounting for nearly a quarter of global traffic. This isn't just about moving people, it's a cornerstone of the economy. For example, the aviation sector in Europe directly employed nearly 3 million people a couple of years ago. And what's striking is that about 2/3 of those jobs are located on site at airports. This highlights the vital role airports play as economic engines for their communities. So when you put it all together, over 1,100 airlines, 35 million scheduled flights last year, and more than 4,000 commercial airports, you see a complex, dynamic, and interconnected ecosystem. With this picture of rapid growth in mind, the question becomes, how do you strategically position your airport to capture these opportunities? So, what are the levers I refer to in the title of this webinar? Well, here they are. I will elaborate on runway capability, airside compatibility, and pavement. Each of them could play a major role in the growth of your airport. Let's start with the first one, runway capability. Here's a simple but powerful idea. Your runway is more than a strip of pavement. It's one of the airport's most valuable business assets. It defines the scale of your operations, the destinations you can serve, and ultimately the spectrum of revenues you can generate. When we talk about growing network reach or market share, we often focus on airlines, incentives, or marketing. Yet the physical capability of the runway is the foundation of every new route or airline you hope to attract. If you don't understand that capability precisely, you risk building strategies on flawed assumptions. That's why I invite you to think about 3 strategic questions. First, how far can the latest generation aircraft actually fly from your runway? You may know the performance of the aircraft you handle daily, but what about the new models entering service? Many of them already popular with airlines. It's not just about published aircraft ranges. It's about the performance at your specific field elevation, temperature, and runway length. Second, what cities can be reached non-stop by the largest aircraft your runway can handle? A high-capacity aircraft can open entirely new business channels and generate significant aeronautical and non-aeronautical revenue. Here, you're translating technical capability into concrete market opportunities. Third, should you extend the current runway? Runway extensions are expensive and complex, but they can unlock larger aircraft types, open long-haul markets, and fundamentally shift your competitive position. The key is to pinpoint the gap between your runway's current performance and the capability your market will demand. By answering these 3 questions with precise data, not just intuition, you give your airport a clear picture of how the runway can drive growth and new revenue streams. On this slide, you will see 2 maps. Each tells a different part of the same story. Look first at the map on the left. Here, I've drawn range circles for several aircraft types around a common airport. Each circle represents the maximum non-stop distance those aircraft can realistically fly from that specific runway. This picture is powerful because it shows at a glance which cities fall inside the reach of each aircraft. It helps you answer a key question. Which markets, airlines, and routes are truly relevant to us? With this insight, you can approach the right airlines. Now shift to the map on the right. This illustrates the benefits of a runway extension for aircraft 2, for example. The smaller circle reflects today's runway length. The larger circle shows the distance aircraft number 2 could achieve if the runway were extended. The area between the 2 circles represent new non-stop markets. This is a reminder that before you invest time reaching out to airlines, you need a precise understanding of how your runway defines an opportunity. A runway extension, sometimes a modest one, can move dozens of high-value cities from impossible to possible, instantly changing the conversation with airlines. So when you're evaluating growth, remember, your runway is literally the first step toward your next market. On this slide, I want to bring us back to a point I made when I introduced the runway capability growth lever. Aircraft range isn't just a number in a brochure. It depends on the environment in which your runway operates. The headline here says it plainly. Take into account the environment in which your runway is located. Every runway is unique, and the following 3 example images illustrate why. First, high altitude or mountainous terrain. At higher elevations, the air is thinner, engines produce less thrust, and wings generate less lift. That means an aircraft may have to limit payload to stay within performance margins, even when using the full length of the runway. Second, hot conditions. Heat has a similar effect. Hot air is less dense, reducing performance and requiring longer takeoff rolls or weight restrictions. For airports in warm climates, this can significantly shorten the practical range of an aircraft compared with standard figures. Third, a short runway with obstacles. Even if the airfield isn't hot or high, natural or man-made obstacles can require steeper climb gradients. That too can force airlines to reduce fuel or passenger loads to meet performance limits. These examples make one key message clear. Every runway offers distinct capabilities to the aircraft that use it. When you plan your growth strategy or engage with airlines, relying on generic aircraft performance data can lead to misleading conclusions. If possible, use performance calculations that reflect your specific field elevation, temperature profile, runway length, and obstacle environment. You'll present airlines with credible opportunities and avoid the time-consuming mistake of promising routes your infrastructure cannot actually support. As a trusted partner to airports worldwide, Airbus Consulting offers unique expertise to achieve their growth ambitions. Our approach is simple. We conduct performance analysis using the exact same tools and databases as the airlines themselves. The result? Very accurate models, perfectly aligned with the operational realities of the airport's future airline partners. As we wrap up the runway capability lever, this slide brings together everything we've discussed. On the left, you see the area between the two circles highlighted as extended market coverage. Within that area, a few cities are marked as new destinations. These are markets that were previously out of reach, requiring a one-stop connection, but could now be served non-stop. This visual reminds us that fully understanding a runway's current or future capability can literally unlock new markets for your airport. On the right, I want to highlight that in collaboration with your market forecast, knowing what your runway can support creates a virtuous spiral. Stimulate the market, generate more flights with new non-stop routes, attracting more airlines, travelers, and freight. Likely accommodate new, larger aircraft types, which can further increase efficiency and capacity. Increase your market share and contribution to profit. Precise runway performance data can help you identify real opportunities, guide airline partners, and make informed infrastructure decisions. Let's move to the second lever, airside compatibility. The starting point here is a simple truth fundamental to each of you. Every airport wants a share of the traffic growth. It's the core of your business strategy and a measure of your success. And as you can see from this map, which is based on Airbus's latest global market forecast, the opportunity ahead of you is staggering. A massive wave of expansion is on the horizon. Between today and 2044, the forecast predicts the delivery of more than 42,000 new aircraft. This isn't just a statistic. Each one of those aircraft represents a potential new route, a new airline partner, and a new connection to the global economy for your airport. But here's the critical challenge highlighted at the bottom of the slide. Market demand is irrelevant if you cannot accommodate the aircraft. An airline can identify a profitable new route to your city, but if your airside infrastructure isn't ready, that opportunity will simply go somewhere else. In short, your airside capacity will directly define your growth ceiling. So, how do you raise your airport's growth ceiling? The answer needs to be in your next master plan update. As the slide says, in today's competitive landscape, proactive airside planning isn't just good practice, it's essential to capture future growth. Waiting for bottlenecks to appear means you're already too late and revenue is going elsewhere. So let's break down some of the key actions you can take to make data-driven decisions. First, you need to align your master plan with credible traffic forecasts. This is more than just a paper exercise. It means ensuring your plan is flexible enough to accommodate not just more traffic, but different types of traffic. Will you be able to handle new generation aircraft? Can you manage increased frequencies? Your master plan must be a roadmap to welcome new opportunities, not just react to them. Second, you must conduct a thorough airside analysis to identify potential capacity limits. Where are your hidden bottlenecks? Maybe your runway system is fine, but your taxiways get congested during peak hours. Perhaps your stands cannot handle the turnaround requirements of a new, larger aircraft. A deep dive analysis reveals the real-world constraints that will define your growth ceiling. This analysis leads to an informed and data-driven decision. With a clear picture of future demand and your limits, you can decide on the smartest path forward. The answer isn't always expensive expansion. Sometimes optimizing your existing infrastructure, improving a taxiway connection, or reconfiguring a stand can unlock significant capacity. But if the data shows that expansion is necessary, you can proceed with confidence. By embedding these actions into your planning cycle, you transform your master plan from a regulatory document into a powerful commercial tool for capturing growth. As we move forward on the airside topic, I want to bring our focus to the apron. The core message is simple but critical. Watch out for capacity limitations. The following 4 points are essential to consider. First, you must future-proof your stands. The global fleet is constantly evolving. You will be facing more frequencies, larger aircraft, or a mix of both. Planning now for the necessary wingspan clearances, pavement strength, and gate infrastructure will prevent costly and disruptive retrofitting projects later. Second, you need to maximize your fleet flexibility with adaptable stands. Your airline partners operate a diverse mix of aircraft, from regional jets to wide bodies. By designing adaptable stands that can handle either one wide body or two narrow body aircraft, you create a dynamic environment. This flexibility will allow you to meet fluctuating demand, optimize gate assignments, and ultimately serve your airline clients better. Third, you must optimize your dimensions for efficient maneuvering. An aircraft stand is useless if the plane cannot get to it safely and quickly. Efficient maneuvering on the apron directly translates to lower fuel burn for airlines, fewer ground incidents, and better on-time performance for the entire airport. Finally, you must plan your ground support equipment. Tugs, loaders, and service vehicles all need space to operate and park without causing congestion. Integrating GAC planning into your design from day one is essential for creating a truly functional and uncluttered operational environment. Now, let's turn our attention to the dynamic heart of an airfield, flow management. These next two areas are where you can unlock tremendous efficiency from your existing infrastructure. Your first objective should be to boost runway throughput. Runway capacity dictates the rhythm of the entire airport, especially during your peak hours. And as you know, a peak could be a predictable morning rush, a full day of sustained traffic for a major event, or even weeks during a holiday season. It is during these critical periods of high demand that efficiencies matter most. You can optimize your rapid exit taxiways locations to slash occupancy time. Every second a plane remains on the runway is a second another cannot land or depart. This isn't just about having rapid exit taxiways. It's about allowing aircraft to exit a runway efficiently without losing momentum. At the same time, you must eliminate inefficient crossings and backtracking to streamline movements. These are the hidden capacity killers. Every time a departing flight has to hold for a runway crossing, you lose precious operational seconds. But getting an aircraft off the runway quickly is only half the battle. Its journey to or from the gate must be just as efficient. That is why your second objective is to optimize the taxiway network. You may have to guarantee compliance for larger aircraft to accommodate future fleets. By ensuring your taxiways are ready, you're not just preventing bottlenecks, you are ensuring you remain a competitive and capable airport for your airline partners. Finally, try to design shorter, more direct taxi routes. This is where your operational efficiency meets your sustainability goals. And again, the benefits are most pronounced during peak times. Every minute you shave off taxi time is a direct win. It's less delay for passengers and fuel savings for airlines. By focusing on boosting runway throughput and optimizing your taxiway network, you're building a more resilient, efficient, and sustainable airport ready to handle demand whenever it peaks. To conclude on this second lever, the central message is this: you must plan for your future peak traffic, whether that peak lasts for a few hours or an entire season. This requires a complete view of the aircraft's journey on the ground, from flexible parking stands to an optimized runway that maximizes your throughput, through efficient taxi flows that cut delays and emissions. Getting this right is the key to ensuring your airport's future resilience. Let's move to the third lever, pavements. Before we dive into the third and final growth lever that some airports may overlook, let me repeat an obvious yet frequently forgotten truth. Your runway is the airport's single most valuable asset. First, it's a massive investment. Roughly 1/3 of the entire construction budget goes into pavement alone. And that's just the beginning. Ongoing maintenance can consume half of the annual infrastructure budget. Because of that cost, the pavement must work for you, not against you. Ideally, it's strong enough to accept any aircraft at any weight without restriction. If you have to turn traffic away or impose weight limits, you're leaving revenue on the table. But remember also that the interactions between the aircraft and the pavement define the pavement's lifespan. That's why lifespan management is strategic. The new ICAO ACR PCR system enables airports to optimize pavement use and welcome new types of traffic. When you plan for future growth opportunities, you must know exactly what your pavement can deliver and how much life remains before the next overhaul. Understanding the limits and the opportunities of your pavement is one of the key levers for sustained traffic growth. Let's move to the next slide, which illustrates the core principle of the ICAO ACR PCR system, something every airport operator needs to keep front of mind. You see here a runway and an aircraft. The aircraft has an ACR, Aircraft Classification Rating, which is typically determined by the manufacturer. In this example, it's 200 FBXT. The runway has a PCR, Pavement Classification Rating, and determining its value is the airport's responsibility. Several tools are available on the market to calculate it. In this example, the pavement rating is 300 FBXT. The basic rule is simple. For unrestricted operations, the aircraft's ACR must be equal to or lower than the pavement's PCR. In our example, 200 is lower than 300, so the aircraft can operate without any limits, full payload, full frequency. But if the numbers were reversed, say the ACR were higher than the PCR, then the pavement would be overstressed. This doesn't mean the runway will collapse on the first landing, but it does mean that each operation is using up the pavement's lifespan much faster than intended. To prevent this, you trigger operational restrictions, weight limits, or capped weekly movements. These limits are designed to prevent premature pavement damage and extend the runway's service life. Always try to keep the aircraft rating at or below the pavement rating to protect your most valuable asset and keep traffic flowing. On the previous slide, we saw how pavement classification rating, PCR, ultimately determines whether an aircraft can operate without restrictions. I also mentioned that the PCR can be calculated using a variety of tools available on the market. This slide explains why that matters. First, every airport is required to publish its PCR. Think of it as part of the runway's identity card, a number that any airline or regulator can reference to understand the pavement's strength. Second, the tool you choose to calculate the PCR doesn't just give you a single figure, it also forecasts pavement lifespan and helps define any traffic restrictions that may be needed based on the current condition of the pavement. But here's the catch. Some tools are excessively conservative. While caution is important, overly conservative outputs can backfire. This slide shows why the choice of PCR tool is so critical. On the left side is the PCR calculation tool, turning pavement data into actionable ratings. From here, two paths emerge. The conservative approach. underestimates pavement strength, leading to shorter predicted lifespan and premature overhaul costs. And remember, overlays are estimated to cost $20 to $30 million every 15 years. It imposes traffic restrictions, resulting in reduced revenue. The optimized approach gives an accurate lifespan prediction, enabling optimized overhaul budgets. There are no unjustified restrictions, allowing full operations and increased revenues. A well-calibrated tool protects your runway, maximizes traffic, and ensures financial efficiency. So we've seen the two paths that emerge from your choice of a PCR calculation tool. This final slide is where that decision hits the bottom line. The title says it all. Using the right PCR tool is key for your profitability. Let's look up at the green arrow, the optimized approach. Here, the picture is crystal clear. No excluded aircraft or frequencies, no missed opportunities. An accurate, well-calibrated PCR tool gives you the confidence to say yes. It ensures you have the largest possible access to market demand and traffic growth, empowering you to welcome every aircraft your pavement can handle. Now, let's turn down the path of the red arrow, the conservative approach. Those excluded aircraft you see represent real, tangible missed revenues. They are the flights you might have to turn away because your PCR tool gives you an overly cautious rating, a number that doesn't reflect the true strength of your pavement. Let's put a price on that caution. A standard single-aisle aircraft brings in between 5,000 and 10,000 euros per rotation. A wide-body generates around 15,000 to 20,000 euros. If a conservative PCR prevents you from welcoming just 2 new daily single-aisle flights and 1 new daily wide-body, you are leaving more than 9 million euros in revenue on the table every single year. That's not prudent management. It's a massive quantifiable loss driven by inaccurate data. The question I'll leave you with is this. Are you certain your current PCR calculation tool isn't bringing millions of euros to other airports instead of yours? To conclude, I want to leave you with this central idea. Your airport deserves to grow at the pace of the market. Today, we've seen how a fresh look at your runway capability, airside compatibility, and pavement transforms these technical assets into powerful strategic advantages. These are some of the foundational levers that unlock new markets, raise your growth ceiling, and directly boost your bottom line. My challenge to you is to re-examine them and ensure that you're seizing every possible opportunity in your strategic planning. Thank you for your time and attention. I'm available to answer some questions.
Yeah, thank you, Patrick. Maybe I can take over from here while our participants are preparing their questions. We will send the recording of the webinar to you, so you will have a recap in case you want to rewatch it. And you can use chat, or you can just raise your hand and ask the questions directly. Don't be shy, so we're all here to answer your questions. Yeah, a lot of positive reactions, but no questions, I don't see. Everything was clear, I assume.
That's good news.
One question here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hello, everyone. I'm Vincent. I was an airport consultant before, and now I'm working at the ENAC in Toulouse. My question would be around the possibility to evaluate the maximum range that an aircraft can fly from an airport, and I'm absolutely sure that indeed Airbus themselves, they would know exactly how far the aircraft can fly. But when you are a consultant, you try to get access to free of charge resources. And obviously in that question, the aircraft characteristics for airport planning. Are these documents reliable? How easy could they be used by the industry, by the consultant, by the airport themselves? Because yeah, it's obviously it's needed to get the best value, but at least free of charge, quite easily the ACAP are giving some answers. So is there a way that Airbus can continue to update them and keep free of charge information?
Thank you, Vincent, for the question. I would say it's unlikely that Airbus multiplies the number of scenarios that we publish in our manuals or in the publications available on the internet. Every runway, not just every airport, but every runway is unique, and we cannot physically describe the scenarios that would fit every individual runway. So this is why we advise airports to contact us if they want to understand, if they want to do more detailed studies and prepare their strategic plan for the next 5, 10 years. But what is published in our documents available free of charge is just one scenario, a standard scenario. But even, you could potentially use it on a couple of airports, but that airport cannot reflect, that scenario will certainly not reflect the airport environment throughout the year, because you have seasons, because you have winds, because you have dry runways, you have wet runways, because you have different payloads you want to consider, and you have obstacles. So yeah, for the moment, what we strongly advise airports, if they want to approach with confidence the airlines and attract them to their airport, is to really do something a little bit more customized.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have another question in the chat. Could you please provide further insights regarding the PCR optimization tool?
So we can exchange on this afterwards if more details are needed. But it's very important for the PCR tool to take into account the environment of the pavement. The environment is not just the status, the physical characteristics of your pavement, the layers, the sublayers, the materials used. It's also what also has to be taken into account, and we have noticed that some of the tools don't do it actually, is, for example, take into account temperatures, the evolution of temperatures, the temperature trend, which is affecting the PCR and the pavement lifespan of the runway we are studying. So it's important to have as many parameters, because there are some key parameters often forgotten by some tools, which all give a reliable and strong PCR.
Thank you. I see no more questions in the chat. Maybe someone would like to ask something. If not,
I may have another question, if you don't mind.
Please.
Would be very happy to know if you have any idea on the PCR status on European airports, for instance? What is the level of update right now from our 500 airports in Europe?
So it's going slower than expected. I think ICAO was expecting by end of November last year that all airports publish their PCR. And similarly to the PCN system that the PCR is replacing, it took years to convert the whole world into the PCN system. So I think personally, I'm expecting the transition from PCN to PCR to take a couple of years. I've noticed that there are already airports that have updated their online publications with the PCR, which is very good, but still a lot are requesting, needing a little bit more time before they switch from PCN to PCR. Why it takes a little bit of time, why they need more time, is because you need to survey your pavement. You need to understand, in order to have a very accurate PCR value, you need to survey your pavement, and that is not something you do in 5 minutes. So this also has to be taken into account. But my answer would be we're not there yet, and the majority of airports have not yet published their PCR. So still a lot to be done.